the grand finale here of reviews is Tenet. Now, this is one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I know it's a lot of your guys' most anticipated. Tenet, to me, is so brilliant and amazing. Like, okay, I don't want to talk about it too much, but if you blink, you might miss something. That's just a fact. You got to know that going in. I mean, Christopher Nolan's movies always kind of, they always kind of got this quick dialogue to it, right? But this one is one where the detail is so important. And I'm going to get the complaints about this movie out of the way, too, just right off the bat here, because I know a lot of people are complaining about the sound mixing. Not the sound design, because the sound design is incredible in the film, without a doubt. But the mixing of it it's a problem because there's times where the score is so loud that you can't necessarily hear the dialogue. But that only happens a couple times. There's a couple times where they were doing it on purpose and like it was supposed to be that way. But then there's a couple times in the movie that you're like, wow, I legitimately am having a hard time like hearing people, and that is like a legitimate complaint. I know it's happened in Christopher Nolan movies before, but this time it was far more evident. But I don't know, I think that Nolan kind of has this way about his filmmaking where he wants you to really pay attention to his movies, and you do have to in this one because every little detail matters. But and this movie is closer to like the 3 hour mark, but that said, it's not boring by any means. Like, I was entertained the entire time. Like, there's enough going on in this movie that it keeps you entertained, and it's a very good like suspense thriller with like a lot of action, and just it really is incredible. And like this, it kind of reminded me of like Nolan's take on like what a James Bond movie would be like it's got that kind of tone to it, because like the villain is like Kenneth Branagh's villain is definitely like a Bond villain. His villain, his character's name is Sato in the movie, and definitely like a Bond type villain for sure. And like this is like what Christopher Nolan does, right? He makes like super sophisticated, blockbusters, and this one is probably up amongst the most sophisticated blockbusters. I mean, there's like a real class to the movie. There's a real class to the characters, and so I found that to be really incredible. Elizabeth Debicki is also amazing in this movie. Like I not too familiar with previous work of hers, I gotta be honest, but in this movie she is incredible. Like, what a good hire there. I mean, John David Washington as the protagonist, and that is literally the name we have for him, as the protagonist in the movie. But John David Washington as the protagonist is amazing. Like, he just has like such charisma on screen, and it really, like, that's another thing that's kind of like Bond, like Bond movies, like they kind of make you rely on the classiness of the actor, right, or the charisma of the actor to really become attached to the character. And here it's the same thing. Like, John David Washington's protagonist is very good and very amazing. I could say that Tenet, as the name of the movie is important. This movie deals in with time inversion, and the I can't explain to you what time inversion is, but I can at least tell you that the word Tenet actually is a big hint to how it all kind of works, because you got to remember that Tenet is 10 spelt forward and backward, and that's very important to this whole thing. And then when it comes, I mean, it's a code name for an event that's going to happen later on in the movie, toward the end. And wow, is it amazing when you see it all happen or go down. I mean, there's times in this movie too where there's just things going forwards and backwards at one time, and that is kind of the concept of time inversion. But I'm just not going to explain to you how it all works, because there's still stuff to it that you need to let unfold in the movie. And some of the things just really surprised me in this movie. this is a really brilliant movie. The way that everything was cleverly used throughout it. The way that things just, a lot of the stuff on the screen looks unreal. I was nervous about the score for this movie going in because Hans Zimmer usually does the score for Christopher Nolan movies, and he usually does that high anxiety type of scores. Now, and this time he got Ludwig Göransson to do it, which I'm a huge fan of Ludwig. I mean, from the stuff he's done with Childish Gambino, he has a lot of responsibility, for Childish Gambino's career needs to be credited to him, to Ludwig, because he did do a lot of the production work for his music. So I'm a huge fan of him from that, and I love the score he did for Creed, and I love the score he did for Black Panther. I mean, like, really love the score for Black Panther. And then the score for Mandalorian's become iconic already. He did the score for that. So I was looking forward to seeing what he did with something like this, but I was still, like, thrown off that it wasn't Hans Zimmer. But throughout the movie, it's amazing what Ludwig Göransson did with the score. This score is just, oh, it is one of Nolan's best scores for his movies. I mean, Ludwig just did a bang up job. I like that it still is that kind of high anxiety type Christopher Nolan type score that you have in a film, but it like really keeps you on the edge. And I saw this on an IMAX screen, and like there's a shooting in an opera house like right at the beginning of this movie, which is not a spoiler. And I thought there was a shooting in the theater, like, and just like it was freaky because the high anxiety type music was going on. You're just like, oh shit, and it's loud, but it's awesome. It's just awesome. Visually throughout, this movie is amazing. You would not expect anything less from a Christopher Nolan movie, but this movie looks incredible throughout. Like, and it's so well structured and so well done. This movie, and damn, like I really feel like this is the movie I've been waiting on, like, all year. Like, this is really next level shit, like, that Nolan plays with, and I love the way he manipulates time to make his stories work. Now I saved the performance for last because I wanted to really talk about it more, and that's not to say this is the best performance in the movie, but it was like the most likable character in this is Neil, who's played by Robert Pattinson to me. Robert Pattinson in this movie is like, for once, because he's typically like a character actor, but for once he's playing like closest to what I feel like Robert Pattinson is in real life. Like, he's got his actual accent in this movie, I feel like, and that's not a bad thing, because he ends up being like one of the most likable characters in this film, and one of the most significant characters, even though he's not like littered throughout the marketing. He actually is one of the most significant characters in the film, if not the most significant. So that's a little hit for you guys. But he really does do a good job, and I actually found him to be the most likable character in the whole thing, and I liked what he was doing here. And even though he was playing something that was closer to his actual self, I still found him to be very likable. I've heard like quite a few complaints about this movie that it wasn't going to be as accessible for audience members, and there is some truth to that. Like, as Nolan films go, like, this is one of the least accessible like storylines, because again, you do have to be paying attention to every single detail to understand it. But I think if you're doing that, you're going to understand it, and that's just what it comes down to. Like I said, he likes to make his films in a super sophisticated way. I'm not gonna, even though I'm excited about this, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like it's my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, but it's up there with his best. I mean, it's probably in the top 5, but I could do a ranking some other time on that, but I'm not ready to rank it yet. I do need to see it again. And the thing is like, when it comes down to having to see this movie again, I mean, yes, you're going to miss details, and there's extra details you're going to want to pick up on. But because of the element that's added about midway through the movie, because there is something added midway through the movie, it's going to make you want to watch the first half of the film again, because it changes a lot about that first half. So that's mainly what's keeping me wanting to watch it again. But the way that it's all cleverly put into the movie, it's the time inversion stuff. It really, Nolan knows how to manipulate time to make his story work, and it's really something that he's been the bomb at. And how amazing is this guy, though? I mean, he just continues to innovate, throughout his films, and this is no exception to that. Like, Nolan did an incredible job on this movie. Boy, did I love it. Tenet is one hell of a good time, guys. I did see it in the IMAX, and it's made for the IMAX. The one thing I'm going to say here is I really, really wish he just would have waited. Just would have waited until we were all able to go out to the theater. I mean, it's limited capacity right now. This movie probably would have done it would have been very successful if he had just waited, and I would have waited, and I would have been fine waiting. But we have it now, and like I always say, like, if you're gonna go to the theater, be safe. I think that they're doing a pretty good job of keeping people safe. It's safer than the grocery store. I mean, that's for sure.